So welcome to my dystopic reality here. Just airing out the trunk a little bit. Enjoying some coffee and starting out my day much later than I anticipated originally. I was planning on getting up at 5 or earlier, but that plan didn't work out today. So I am in the process of taking supplements, and supplements that I'm taking, number one is whey protein. That's the big one. When I'm on carnivore and I do take whey protein, if I bypass eating altogether, I get major stomach issues. Like, I can't put off, and it will end my day really quickly. Let's just say there's no substance in my system. So that's actually a good thing if you're just focusing on autophagy and retraining yourself. I always like to top it off a little bit, just either with a little more than a scoop, or try to make sure I'm getting a full scoop. And then I take Tongkat Ali, which I've shown before. I cut back to just one pill. It's too much to try to take in 2 pills. Trying to find the balance. As Atmosphere said, the old school white rapper, TMG, trimethylglycine. And really I should just be taking that when I work out, but it seems to be, I don't really follow the whole anabolic queuing thing. It seems to work pretty well for me. I stay lean. I can tell, like right now, that my muscles are getting a little atrophied because I'm not training as much. Well, that's the last creatine. 1,000 creatine. I do have a backup of creatine here. I'll go up to an upper limit, and then I've got nitric oxide booster, which I've seen and felt a huge difference from. It helps with vascularity. I think for older people it's extremely important, but I would really try not to overdo it. I'd take the lower dosage with it. You could do beets, you could do beets. And in this case, I just carry around my bands, because I won't be doing this forever. In fact, with the way that I'm thinking about things, this week ended up identical to last week. In fact, I'll be lucky to... That's not true. I'll get close. I'll do about 5 hours today, 5 hours tomorrow. Any more pills than that, there's just no way I can do it. We'll just air out the trunk a bit, since I'm doing camping mode. And then typically they give me more ice in the ice water at Starbucks, and it stays like in this steel container, polished steel container. It stays frozen for like a day or more, especially when I'm adding ice in. So I really try to cut back on the liquid I'm taking in. I can make it through the night. I can go to the bathroom before I go to bed and go to the bathroom, urinate again when I wake up, and it's not excruciating. But I do feel a little dehydrated because typically I'm taking in over a gallon of water a day. I tend to get extremely thirsty and need a lot of water. Yeah, you can feel it. You can feel protein, the amino acids hitting your system. Could be that little bit of carbohydrate too. So right now I'm trying to just work, not let it take over my whole life. In reality, I'm probably averaging about 5 hours a day, which right now is doable. That's like enough. And I'm trying to work my way up to 8 and 10 and even 12 hours per day. And I've just got to get a really good system down. This is my 3rd week, so there's no excuse. It is either the 19th or the 20th of April. What is it? I think it's the 20th today. All these reminders popping up over and over. Yeah, it's Saturday the 20th. And things I gotta cut out are like the expenses from Starbucks. It's ridiculous, like $4 for a cup of coffee when you can buy for $5. You can buy an instant. You could live all month off of Maxwell House or even the Walmart brand for $5. It'll wake you up faster too. Just something about that hot coffee. But I'm gonna be cutting Starbucks out. It was just kind of a lavish thing that I wanted to do for the first 2-3 weeks, and I did it. It's over. It's time to start putting those expenses, into wipes and Axe and car washes here and there. I don't over pamper people who get in here. I don't plan to. Nobody is pampered. Nobody is supposed to be treated like a king or a queen. And I don't, I live in a rough way where I don't give a rat's ass about anybody, but I'll have a conversation with somebody who's on the real, Amen. Not Amen Ra, amen. We forget about our true quest. Working past all the things that I just talked about. That's just daily BS. You could be trading billions of dollars. You're still, you can't occupy every room of a mansion or occupy a yacht and a mansion at the same time. It doesn't belong to you. It's an illusion, and something else is presiding over it while you're not watching it. And everything is absolutely connected. From the deals that are given to you to things that you think are opportunities, things that you have to sacrifice. I saw this years ago. And so there's a true work, what people are truly working on. And when you can really see that and you start to actualize that and take action, that it has to do with energy. That how you seem, how you come off, how you appear has nothing to do with the true self. And then you get into the aspects of the one self, like what am I doing? I talk about this a lot, whether I'm pacing back and forth in a small room. I'm staying industrious. Like when I'm talking to you in the middle of my day when I'm working. On my way to the gym or coming out of the gym. People just don't factor that in. You got these people who suck in their cheeks, turn on their camera, talk about things, and edit their videos in such a way and make thumbnails, but all they're really doing is sitting on their ass. They're not doing anything. Like, really take that to heart. That I'm always doing something when I'm up on video. Even when I'm sitting on that couch making videos, I am resting in between walking. Or I'm sometimes rarely taking an actual break, So right now the gym is going to be blended in small bouts. I got my son to the gym yesterday, but then I got the shits and I couldn't continue working out, and that really sucked. You just didn't time things right. And they have to be timed right. charging fast today. So it's exactly 7 a.m. In a few minutes, quite frankly, quite literally, we're going to be turning on that app and doing 5 hours. And a little bit past noon with a full charge, we'll be done. I'll do 4 or 5 hours. I'll get bored and sick of it, and I'll be done with it. And next week, I've got to hit it harder from the beginning. There can't be any sort of days off or, just 1 and 2 hour. I tried to do work even when I wanted to take a day off, which keeps me up above 30 hours. And I'm going to be next week trying to tackle over 40. And try not to think about the numbers so much in respect to the everything else. It's just focus on the hours. Focus on getting an 8 hour a day, 5 day a week, even though I'm doing it 7 days a week, situation until I can take a little break. A nice interlude that we're going to be taking soon is I want to stay at a nice place with my son coming up. Thinking about just keeping it local, going just a couple miles away from where he lives, and just stay at the Fairfield Marriott. Get a nice room there, and then go over to the Texas Roadhouse for lunch and have steak together and try to film that. I'm going to try to that's the whole reason I got this Insta360 was to be able to take the little pod off the front and use the magnetic lanyard and kind of show my perspective of where I'm at, my steak, what I'm doing. So we're gonna be wrapping it up real soon here. It says 12 minutes, but I'll give it about 5 more, and then it's just nearing 240 right now miles. And you can't overthink things. I mean, that's the secret. You can't get excited. You can't break out of a mundane, even depressive mind state. Like, you're forced into that, because if you're excited at all, that's in opposition to getting these little workouts and being really industrious, which is what I'm trying to work my way back into. And you'd think I'd be there. Like, you can be lean, you can be strong, but when you're not within like the proximity of a 3-day period with regards to just your chronobiology, and that's really what it comes down to, is my sleep has been a really huge issue. When you get your sleep off, it's going to take you a long time to get your sleep back in order. It doesn't just take a matter of weeks, or it really, you have to sink into it. So when I was able to start getting up, you have to exhaust yourself, number one, and then you have to remove too many extracurricular divisionary thought modes, and really be able to focus just in on the simplicity of work. Training for me, I don't have to overthink things. This is not braggadocious because I'm old, but I trained for so many years, doing everything from max strength for years at a time, punished myself from a teenager to where the carnivore just works for me. For other people, they really have to build a base, and that's why I never say, never say never. It's like, the healthiest thing to do is to really work in a carbohydrate cycle diet, and particularly more of a when you get into microcycling, mesocycling, and macrocycling. Macro cycles are kind of like when you look at an Olympic athlete and you look at all the various training protocols throughout the year and over like the succession of a 4 to 8 year period. You're looking at even some detraining, right, where you have to go through recovery, but that's what the anabolic aspect of it is, with how they bypass that, where they just say, you know, this young athlete is going to deal with joint problems more than likely for the rest of their lives, but didn't they get a chance at Olympic gold? You know, didn't they get a chance? And that's really what we're all faced with every single day. It's like, you have the chance to be your greatest. So without diverting, I got myself to a place where all I have to do is what I had done in the past. Like, once I throw in those heavy curls, even if I miss training all week, it just brings, like, it hits my core, it hits my chest, it hits my biceps, it hits even the triceps for stabilization. The shoulders get stronger, the traps have to deal with it. So one really big rule is I'll go in, you know, curls for the girls kind of thing, but that's not the approach that I take at all. It's just the opposite. It's to keep up your vitality and your strength and to be able to handle it, you know, you need to at least pick up 55-pound dumbbells and try to max out that'll get your heart rate up, that'll get the blood flow going. And then what I tend to do is I do systemic activity. So after something like that, you'll see me on a leg extension. And with the leg extension, just like all machines, I'll do unilateral exercises where I'll just do one alternating full range movement at a time, and then I'll bump it up, which will seem randomly, to a much heavier weight, do a lower rep range. I'll rest very minimally. Sometimes I'll rest a couple of minutes and then I'll hop right in. I might do another heavy set, you know, or I might do a really light set, but it seems very sporadic and random. But what I'm trying to do is I'm thinking about the actin and the myosin. I'm thinking about the muscle movement. I'm thinking about the cross bridges, right? I'm trying to get the most effective workout. And after 2 or 3 really high quality sets in a given area, you're going to see results, particularly when you can compound that times, you know, 3 times a week. And really, honestly, you could do it 1 hour a week, 20 minutes, 3 times a week. You don't even probably have to hit that, probably 55 minutes. So some weeks are like that. Some weeks it's just work out once a week. And some weeks what I'm vying for, what I'm going for, is getting into a really productive place where I'm working 8+ hours every day. I'm training every day. The diversion that people offer you when there's just one variable thrown into your life, you know, one person that you know, they don't realize that you are sacrificing that. You're sacrificing that flow. And many people aren't. Many people realize, they're like, I'm sorry. And it's mostly, you know, young professionals, but it's like, no matter what age you are, you have to think like a professional. You have to stay up on cryptocurrency. I put small amounts of money back into crypto at this point. It has to be money I'm not even missing. Being back under the tutelage of hurts. They make it hurt. It's a terrible clandestine group that is on the lower scraps of Raytheon, TRW, and BlackRock. It's just how the institution treats the fodder, and that's how Hertz regards everyone. They're able to skirt around major issues. They go through their share of lawsuits and stuff, but somehow, just like United Airlines and other, you know, Wells Fargo, they go unscathed. And it is 100% neo-feudalism. It's 100% how corporate neo-feudalism plays in with black projects. And at the center, so that they feel really important, just like the papacy, just like Vatican, just like Rome, you've got people that are placing these really strange, obscure sexual themed images at the center, just like NASA, of their mantra, their logos. But they don't really know what's important either. They just live by ideologies. They don't really have a true axiom, a true nexus. And so getting back to it, the most important thing is your principles. When God is refuted, when Jesus is refuted, absolutely it is not only just a claim, but it didn't exist. But the pure Son and God through man, that does exist. And it exists because of principles. And principles and greatness exists because of principles. And I discovered this years ago. So when you get into mimetic sequencing, you're talking about people who will never achieve anything. And that is, unfortunately, really what World War II was really about. It's like, look at these people. Look at how much energy they're taking up. Look how much static they're taking up. And now look at it when you are of the higher mind, how that information, how that energy, how that directed, focused, pinpointed, laser focused energy of, you know what you want because you know what the one wants, right? And the only thing that you are to want is purity. And to understand purity, like most people think of purity almost as innocence or ignorance. You know, try being ignorant and innocent and see if that form of purification will do any justice to you. It doesn't. Is it burning people alive in a pit? You know, so you have to find a, purifying races and so forth. So there are those who think that they found this and that there's no compromise and that they're going to do their very best to produce as pure a culture, as pure a society as possible. You know, and then you find these anomalies where you, like from a purely male standpoint, you know, and then you find Ayn Rand. And you're like, where'd that come from? It's like when you follow the way, when you really see the way, there are very few people who can see the way. And just like Ayn Rand, when you really look at her and think about it, it's impossible to say that's a her. It's impossible to say that she comes from a tutelage, a lineage, a race. Even if she used that as her moniker, there are principles that she is writing under. And she could be subverted in life, in death. But brushing against greatness, seeing it, people end up existing within a certain parameter or a certain scope of this sort of onion layer, and the sphere is given to us to unravel. Like, which part of the onion layer are you going to live in? Which part are you going to be aware of? And when you're forced into the awareness that you have to be aware of the entire thing, but the outer shell, like the skin, like the suit, right? Like the top of this, like you don't see me riding on the top of this car. I'm riding inside of the car. I'm not getting exposed to the same levels of radiation or wind, right? It makes sense. But when you see people living on the top of the planet, that makes zero sense. So you don't have to jump toward hollow earth and people are living in the earth. You don't have to jump to that. It makes perfectly rational sense. You know? So anyway, these things don't really matter to me right now. I'm not talking about principle. I'm talking about, free will, consciousness, the mind. I've put so many years of thought and analysis into this for myself, and the rest of the time it's like I want to try to explain this to people, but it's like, do you really? Like, if they're going to understand, they're going to understand, and if they don't, they don't. And so these channels, like these Annex channels that I put this stuff up on, it's purely to give a nudge to other people. It's a huge sacrifice that I go through, just to give a little nudge of principle in the right direction. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's work. It's the great work. So for those who understand, infinitum secretiore, EPL, esoteric principles of light.